Hello. Hi, friends. Give me just a minute to get set up, and then we'll get going. Just want to make sure everything is working. Hi, Deepak. All right. Again, I'm just making sure everything is set up. I think we're good. Okay. Again, just like my last stream, if you see my eyes looking over here, it's because I got my notes on this monitor. That's all. So we're going to give it another minute. It's 9:59. Just want to let hang out for a minute to let anyone else join before I get going. Turn this off. It's always so awkward just sitting here. All right, it's 10 o'clock, so I'm going to get going. Thank you for being here. Welcome if you're new to my channel, or welcome back if you're not. So I'm not going to spend much time talking about myself. I've got lots of videos if you want to get to know me more. But since today we are talking mostly to freelance writers, I do want to let you know that my background is in writing. I'm an agency owner at this point, but I started writing professionally about 11 years ago. So I've been in the game for a while, and I still write these days, but one of my bigger focuses is on helping other professionals land clients, because maybe you've noticed by now that you can be the best writer in the world. You can be an amazing social media manager, graphic designer, whatever your skill set is, but if you don't know how to land clients, you're not going to make any money. It's that simple. So today specifically, I wanted to focus on how to build a stable income as a freelance writer. And again, yes, I'm speaking to writers, but if you are another type of freelancer, you will still learn something new in this live stream. A lot of the same rules apply across professions. So the reason we're focusing on building a stable income, the keyword there being stable, is because what a lot of freelancers run into, and if you haven't yet, you probably will, is that your income, unless you have control over it, it's going to do this, okay? You're going to have really good months, and then you're going to crash. And then you're going to have another high, and then you're going to have another low. And this is obviously bad for a few reasons. First of all, it doesn't give us any stability, any predictability. You can't build a long-term successful business on this. And also, that doesn't give you any room to grow. If every other month or so you're trying to get out of this hole, you're not focused on growth, you're just focused on trying to survive. You're in survival mode. So instead of this, we want this. We want our income to go up. Now, it might not be perfectly linear. Money still comes and goes. So you might notice that your income is doing this. But overall, the main trajectory, if you look at the last 3 months, 4 months, you should be making more money now than you were 3 months ago. All right, so the overall trend should be upward. Okay, now, and again, this is a really common problem that freelancers run into. We're going to talk about why, and I'm going to offer a few tips. There's a lot of overlap between these tips, so some of them kind of go together, but yeah, let's just jump right in. So the first step towards building a steady income as a freelance writer is to pitch your services to potential clients as monthly recurring work. Monthly recurring work, meaning you do the work every single month. Do not look for one-off projects where it's a client who just wants a blog. Okay? And do not waste your time writing an article that you then go and try to sell. I've got a whole video on this. It's one of the biggest mistakes writers make. They write an article on something they like, and they go try to sell it. if you've got tons of free time and you don't care about money, then go for it. But if you're trying to make money as a writer, this is one of the worst approaches. You don't come up with something and then try to make money off of it. You go where there is a demand, a need. You provide that need, you fulfill it with your services, and then you get paid for it. So here's the difference, what this looks like. When you're going after clients, which we're going to talk about in a minute, you are pitching your services as a long-term relationship with them. You do not approach clients and say, I want to write a blog for you. You approach them and you say, you have a whole conversation, of course. You don't just come out and say this, but the goal is, I'm going to write 4 blogs a month for you, or 8 blogs a month, or whatever you deem is what they need. All right? And every month you're going to deliver this workload. Okay? And this is in their best interest too, because your clients aren't, you can't move the needle with one blog. Okay? When we're talking about content, it takes consistency over a long period of time to deliver results. You need to be giving them content long-term to bump them in Google search results, to get them more organic traffic. One blog isn't going to do that. You need to be able to deliver results. That is how you hang on to clients. You deliver results and prove that they need you. And the only way to deliver results is to be working with them long-term. So don't approach clients saying you want to write a blog for them, you want to be published on their website. You want to provide monthly recurring services. All right. And actually, we're gonna get into that in a few minutes about exactly how to do that. But just bear in mind, this is a long-term approach. You don't want to be struggling to get clients all the time. You don't want to jump from client to client and gig to gig. You want stability, which means working with the same clients every single month. All right. That's going to give your income so much predictability, and it's going to allow you to focus, yes, on maintaining the clients that you have, but also on growth, as opposed to having those months that we talked about where it goes like this. Okay, so that's the first thing. Monthly recurring work. It's really important. A lot of writers aren't doing that. I don't know why. That's the first thing. Second, kind of ties into the first. You need to go where your competitors aren't. As a freelance writer, as a freelancer in general, you've got a ton of competition. And if you look for clients where everybody else is looking for clients, you're never going to be seen. So as an example, job boards, bidding sites, sites like Guru and Upwork and Elance and Fiverr. Hate to knock them. I'm not saying they're bad sites, but I'm saying if you're trying to build a real income as a freelance writer, don't waste your time on those. And there are a couple of reasons why. For starters, they are way too competitive. They're way too crowded. You can have, someone can post a job on, we'll say Upwork, and there might be over 100 writers who apply for that job. And as far as the client is concerned, you all look the same. All the writers look the same. And here's what they do next to try to narrow it down. They go for who can do it the cheapest. And that brings me to the second problem with job boards and bidding sites. The pay is awful. So if you want to make any money off of job boards and bidding sites, A, you're going to have a really hard time, and B, you're going to have to be willing to work for very, very cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean making $5 or $10 off of a 1,000-word blog. That rate is not uncommon. So 1,000 words is a decent amount, especially, if you're talking about a topic that's pretty meaty. That could take you a while to write. Imagine making $5 or $10 for that. Doesn't make any sense. But unfortunately, the writers using these websites are willing to work for that little. So if you're going to participate in that, the problem is twofold. A, you're contributing to the problem. You're contributing to the fact that this is why writers have such a hard time making good money. It's because clients know they can go on these websites and hire a writer for dirt cheap. So we don't want to be part of that problem. But also, it's really not in your best interest anyway, because if you get that job, which the odds are not stacked in your favor because of the competition, if you get that job, the money you make compared to the time you have to invest in that work are going to be completely disproportionate. Okay? So I've told you what not to do. Don't go to job boards and bidding sites. They're too saturated. And as a result, the pay is crap. So what you're going to do instead is you are going to find potential clients that you would like to work with on LinkedIn. You're going to start the conversation on LinkedIn, and then you take it to email. So it's warm emailing. I talk a lot about cold emailing. Really, it's warm emailing. We warm them up on LinkedIn first, get their email address, take the conversation to email, where you will talk more about the services you offer, how you can help them. There are a few reasons this works so well. For starters, way fewer people are doing it. Most freelance writers are on Upwork because they think it's easier. Like, they don't have to go looking for jobs. The job is posted right there. So they think that that's going to increase their odds of making money. But as you know by now, it doesn't. So a lot of writers are looking over there. While they're looking over here, you're going to go that way. You're going to go on LinkedIn. And another reason this is so powerful is because LinkedIn specifically is this beautiful in-between stage. It's not totally a social media site, but it's not totally 100% super professional. It's something in the middle. It's social media for professionals. It's got this beautiful combination. So you have this opportunity to form a connection with people that's a little more casual and genuine and conversational. It's a little less formal than if you were to just go straight for a job posting. And you create these real relationships, and then you segue into working together. So that's why LinkedIn has become such a powerful tool. It's a huge part of what I teach in my program in Revenue Spark, and it's been a game changer. And I really believe it's because it's that in between. It's not totally social media, but it's not like 100% business. It's somewhere in the middle. And that makes it the perfect spot for you to connect with people who you want to work with. And it's not, there's nothing sleazy about it, because everyone knows that LinkedIn is social media for professionals. So if two people connect, then there's a really good chance they want to connect because maybe they want to do business together. So all that just goes back to what I've said a couple times now. LinkedIn combines a less formal, more casual setting with business opportunities. So you will reach out to leads on LinkedIn. You will send them a connection request, and then once they accept, you send them a message. You do not immediately pitch your services. You say to them, "Hey, John, my name is Megan, and I'm a writer, and I'm interested in working with your brand, whatever the brand name is." And then you say, can we discuss over email? And then take it to email. And you want to get them off LinkedIn and onto email, because eventually you're going to schedule a call with them. The call, you have to get on the phone with your leads because that's where you're going to close them. But I can't stress this enough, and I've done it, and I've seen other writers do it. The job boards and bidding sites, they're just too saturated. And the more saturated any environment is for any industry, it becomes a race to the bottom. People just start undercutting each other. They just start lowering their rates. If a writer sees that another writer bid on a project and said they do it for $10, that writer will do it for $9. And it just, like I said, it becomes a race to the bottom. Who can do it for the cheapest? And that's not how you build a business. It doesn't work. And, you might see it as like losing opportunities. These are clients I could work with. Yeah, they are. But do you really want to work with clients who just want to get things for as cheap as possible? Do you want to work with clients who want to pay writers $5 or $10? No. I don't want to work with that kind of client. I hope you don't either. That's not how you build a business. All right, looking at my notes, let's keep going. Third, again, we're talking about how to build a stable income as a writer so you can avoid the roller coaster. Spread your eggs across several baskets, meaning don't put all your eggs in one basket. When we say that, we mean you don't want to rely on 1 or 2 clients. Now, I can't tell you how many clients you need to be stable because it's going to depend on what they're each paying you. But let me give you an example. If you have 3 clients, one pays you $1,500 a month, one pays you $200. Don't ever work for $200, but this is just an example. And one pays you $300. So you've got $1,500, $200, $300. You're not stable because if you lose that $1,500 a month client, you're in trouble. You just lost the majority of your income. If you lose one of the smaller clients, you'll probably be fine. But you're in a very vulnerable position because if you lose that one big client, you are in big trouble. So what we want to do is make sure that our income is scattered. This is one of the best parts of being a freelancer. If you're a 9-to-5 employee and you lose your job, you had one paycheck and you just lost it, and you're in a bad place. But if you're a freelancer and you lose a client, which you will, clients will come and go, you can lose a client and you can still be okay. And in fact, you should be okay. You should never lose a client and then be like, oh God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You should never get to that place. So the way to do that is to make sure that you have, enough clients, yes, but also that 1 or 2 of those clients isn't providing the majority of your income. All right, so you don't want 1 or 2 huge clients, because if you lose one, it's going to be bad. You're going to be in a very scary place financially. This kind of rolls into the next tip. Know your threshold. When I say your threshold, I mean know how bad things can get before you have to hit panic mode. Of course, we don't ever want to get to that point, but it's still good to know, to be aware of what that point is. So here's an example. Let's say you know that you need to be making at least $3,000 a month to get by. Okay, so then what does that look like in terms of your client breakdown? How many clients do you have? What are they each paying you? So the idea here is to figure out how many clients can you lose, like how bad can things get before you get to a place where you're completely up against a wall. And again, I want to reiterate this. We don't want to know what our breaking point is because we ever plan to get there. But you have to still know, you have to know what that threshold is so that you always know what your sweet spot is. You need to know, okay, as long as I have this number of clients and they're each paying me about this much money, I'll be okay. And you can kind of consider this your baseline, okay? Your income, like I said, ideally, you want it to be doing this over time. You'll have little dips, but overall it's going up. But meanwhile, while it's doing this, you have this baseline. Imagine this like a graph, okay? You have this baseline and okay, no matter what, as long as I'm here, I'm good. I'm okay, I'm safe. And that's what we're talking about here. We want to know what that point is so that we can always stay above it. And again, I can't really give you a rule of thumb for that because it's going to depend on how many clients you have and what they're each paying you. As an example, I know right now, I've got, I don't know how many clients I have right now, but I know that as long as I've got these clients and these clients, I'll be okay. If I were to lose these 2 clients at the same time, I might be in trouble. If I lost these 2 clients, I'd be okay. And you want to look at those various scenarios and kind of just prepare yourself, okay? And none of this is meant to scare you. It's about covering all your bases because that's something else. Freelancing is so awesome because you have such an amazing opportunity to be stable long term. And again, it goes back to that example I gave where if you lose your 9-to-5 job, you're in big trouble. But if you lose a client, you don't have to be in big trouble. I've lost clients. They come and go. It might have nothing to do with you or the service you provide, It could be totally on them. Doesn't matter. The point is clients will come and go, money will come and go. And when money goes, you want to be in a place where you're okay, where you don't have to stress. So that's what this is all about, okay? Know your limits and stay away from them. But to stay away from them, you got to know what they are. And as a reminder, there is a live chat, so feel free to drop questions. And I'm, looking back and forth. How to get a client committed. So, and Deepak, I'll get to yours right after. So getting a client to commit, and just so you guys know, if you hopped into this live stream late, it will be up on my YouTube channel forever. It's just going to take a little while to process after I end the live stream, but you can go back and watch this in case you missed any of it, okay? I suggest you watch it again. How to get a client committed. So here's the thing with clients. They might not know they need you. All right, so we're talking about freelance writing in this live stream. Clients might not understand how crucial content is to their success online. They need blog content. They need really good, high quality, optimized content to help them rank higher in Google. Because traffic from Google is going to be one of their biggest sources of traffic, if not the biggest. That's the trend we've seen. And most businesses don't know how to do this. Okay, they might say, oh, we manage blogging in-house. They might have a random employee throw a blog up just because they know they need a blog, but they don't know how important it is. So you need to help them understand where they're falling short, why they need you, and how you can solve their problem. And that's something else we cover in my program in Revenue Spark, especially, excuse me, when you get on the sales call. You get on the sales call and you ask them to explain what they're struggling with. And when you do that, you do two things. A, you collect information that you need, but B, you force them to point out that they're struggling. And once you kind of hit those pain points and make them acknowledge, oh, we're not seeing results, it's going to be a lot easier to get them to commit to you. So let's go through an example. You reach out to a lead and you guys are having a conversation and you say to them, how's your blogging going so far? And if they're talking to you, it's probably because they're having a hard time. So they'll say like, oh, we're publishing content, but it's not getting any traffic. It's not bringing us new leads, blah, blah, blah. So they're admitting to you that they don't know what they're doing, which is good news for you. And so this is where you will come in and you will say, well, here's the problem you might be having. Maybe you notice their blog content isn't optimized. Maybe it's got a lot of typos in it. You have to do a little detective work and try to figure out where they're falling short. And then you tell them, here's how I can help you. And again, we talked about this in the beginning of the live stream, just in case you missed it. When you approach clients, you are pitching recurring monthly work. I'm going to say it again, recurring monthly work. Don't approach clients and pitch one blog. Tell them you want to partner with them long-term and deliver content every single month. Yes, this is in your best interest, but it's honestly in their best interest too, because the easiest way to deliver results for your clients is to work long-term. And delivering results is how you hang on to your clients. That's why I've got clients that I've had for years because I'm obsessed with delivering results. So it's a win-win for both of you. They want you, like they need you to work with them long-term. There are a lot of websites out there. You might run into this. If you do, now you know how to approach it. But there are a lot of websites that take guest contributions. And how this often works is they've got tons of writers reaching out to them saying, I want to write for you. And so they just take contributions, they take blogs from random writers. And very often these writers don't get paid. But even if they do, very often it's a one-time thing. They submit one blog and that's it. And the website might not care because as far as they're concerned, they're just getting tons of content in. But are they seeing results? It's a toss-up. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. It's in their best interest to have you as a committed long-term writer. So really, you got to keep in mind, you always have to look at it from the lead's perspective. Why should they care? What do they get out of this? And that's what you want to explain to them. And that's how you get them to commit. Okay? Let's see. How to be confident or be connected to viewer. Do you mean how to be confident when you're talking to a lead, to a potential client, Deepa? I just want to make sure I understand. How to be confident. How to be confident with clients? Yes. Okay, cool. Just checking. So if you're watching this, then there's a chance that you are new to writing, new to business. How to be confident on a call. Okay, I'll get to that one next. Good questions. So before I keep going, I want to say if you're brand new, that's totally okay. We all start with nothing. Totally okay. All right, so that being said, being confident when you're communicating with a client, whether it's on LinkedIn or by email or on the phone, and we're going to talk about the phone specifically because that one's a little trickier. It comes down to speaking in a way where you believe in yourself. And I know that sounds really corny, but that's really all it comes down to. So, look at the language you're using with clients. Are you approaching them like you are an employee applying for a job? This is one of the biggies. A lot of freelancers forget that they are a business owner. And this is so important. If you are a freelancer, you are a business owner. You are not an employee. You do not work for your clients. You work with them. Okay? So if you've got a 9-to-5 job, it's you as an employee and your boss. They're a step above you. As a freelancer, it's you and the client. This is everything. And this dictates how you communicate with them. Because if you communicate with them like an employee talking to the boss, that's the standard you're setting, and you're putting yourself in a bad position. But you want to approach them as a partner, as a business owner. You are the expert of what you do, and you know things that they don't. And again, a lot of this just comes down to the language that you use. So if you approach someone on LinkedIn or by email, it is not, oh, hey, I'm a writer, and I was wondering if you guys were looking for writers, and I'd love to write for you. The tone of that is all off. You're a business owner. It's, hi, so-and-so, I'm a writer. This is what I do. This is what I offer and what I bring to the table. You're a business owner. And imagine if you were talking to an owner of another business. If you went to your doctor and you went to them looking for help and they were talking to you like they weren't totally sure of what they were offering, that'd be kind of scary. It's the same thing with you, just a different industry. If you don't come across as confident and you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will either. So don't leave it up to them to set that standard, because they won't. That will not work out in your favor. Now let's talk about the phone call specifically. The phone call is always a lot harder because it's happening in real time. It's on the spot. It's not like an email where you can, sit down and think about it and rewrite it. You're on the phone. It's like go time. One of the best, and it's going to sound so silly, but one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, don't rush to answer. Don't rush to talk. If you're on the phone with a potential client and they ask you a question and you need to sit there and think about it, you go, well, and wait a second and think about it. And it sounds, I know, again, it sounds so silly, like, okay, big deal. But where a lot of writers panic on the call and where a lot of people get that phone anxiety is it all boils down to worrying that you're not going to have a good answer for them. We're worried about being put on the spot. Take your time. If you think about a conversation that you're having with a friend or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, think about how those conversations go. It's not just like, you're not like talking rapid fire back and forth. They might say something and you sit there and you're like, yeah, well, and you have to think about it. It's the same thing with your business calls. And these calls, they're real, organic, authentic calls. You're not going to have all the answers. If you talk to a lead, if you talk to a potential client for the first time, and they say to you, well, what would you do to help us? Of course you have to sit there and think about it. And that's okay. And they're not going to be turned off by that. So we all think we're taking longer to respond than we are. We're not. We think that there are awkward silences. There aren't. So don't worry about that. And something else that should take a ton of pressure off of you, do not give your rates over the phone, ever. This is one of my biggest rules. Do not give rates over the phone. I don't care how much they're pushing you for it. The reason we don't, the reason we don't do this is because, especially if you are newer to your business, and you're just wanting to land clients, which is normal, when they put you on the spot and say, what do you charge? You're going to blurt out whatever number comes to mind because you're just going to want to answer. And it's going to be lower than it should be because you're going to be eager and you're going to want to close the client. So you're going to undercharge them. I've done it a million times. Just trust me on this. And once you commit to a rate, you can't really go back. I mean, you can, but it's not going to go well for you. So what you say, if they're really pushing for a number, you can tell them what your rates start at. You can say my rates start at $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever. And then they go up based on a number of variables. And then stop talking. Don't say another word. And honestly, I haven't gotten a ton of resistance on that. And you just remind them. You say, you've given me lots of helpful information on this call. So now I'm going to go think about it and crunch some numbers, and I'll get back to you with an exact number in my proposal. And that's it. You let them know that you are coming up with a strategy that is tailored to them and their needs. And that's why you can't give them a number on the phone. You got to go think about it, right? Shouldn't be an issue with them. Again, I've never had anyone be like, well, if you won't give me a number now, then forget it. Sometimes I do have to tell them what my rates start at. They just want to know. They want a ballpark. They want to know, okay, wait a minute, can we even afford her? And that's totally understandable. They're on a budget. So that's, some of the best tips I can give you for the phone call. Even if, the whole phrase, fake it till you make it, especially with phone calls, that's going to come into play. And something else I want to point out, phone calls are practice. Practice, practice, practice. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Practice with your friends, with a parent, a sibling, whoever. Something we do in my program, we do practice sales calls, where my students schedule a call with me. I pretend to be a lead, and we do practice sales calls. And I've got a couple students who've done 4, 5, 6 of these. And when they get on the phone with a lead, they crush it because they've done it already. Now, again, their conversations are authentic creatures, so no two are going to be identical. But once you've done enough, you learn how to handle them. And that really just comes down to practice. So practice with people. Even practice out loud in the room by yourself. I know you might feel weird, but ideally though, get someone else to pretend to be the client for you and do a practice sales call. I'm telling you, it helps so much. Do not let your first call be on the phone with a lead. It should be practice first. Hold on, I'm looking at the chat. We got that. Deepak says, yes, work with them, not for them. That's how I thought. Yes, I want to reiterate that because this is just something freelancers, we forget. You are not an employee. And you have to be really careful not to let yourself slip into that position, because once you do, it's really hard to get out. I made that mistake with one of my bigger clients. I was very eager to please them, as I always am. And without saying too much, because of the way this client is and because of the way I behaved, I set myself up to be a doormat, and they walked all over me. It was my own fault. And then when I finally realized the damage I had done, and I tried to backtrack and undo it, I was met with a lot of resistance. Suddenly I was argumentative. So that's why I'm saying do it right from the beginning. And it's not about being arrogant or full of yourself. It's just about how you carry yourself. Business owners carry themselves very differently from employees. And I don't say this in a bad way. Employees know that they answer to a boss and they have to satisfy a boss. As a business owner, of course, you have to satisfy your clients. But again, you're approaching this relationship as, I am one business owner, I am one expert, and you are another. This, not this. Okay? Hold on, going back to the chat. Deepak, before you go, if you haven't already, I put it in the description to this live stream. There is a link to a free guide that will show you more about how to use LinkedIn, and there's a free email template in it. It's free. So get that. All you have to do is put in your first name and your email, and I'll email it to you. It's a PDF. But grab that free guide. It'll go into more detail. And thank you for being here. Let's stay in touch. How and when do you tell the rates? The way that works, again, by now, you don't give them over the phone. The phone call, you collect more information, you learn more about the client, and you end the phone call by saying that you will deliver to them a proposal within the next 24 hours or whatever. No more than like a business day. And the proposal will outline the services you offer and what you're going to charge. That is when you tell them the exact rates. And you deliver that to them either in an email or a Google Doc. And that's when you tell them the number. Not on the spot, on the phone. Don't do it. How to make the client sell to you instead of you closing the client. So, I hope I'm saying your name right. Capdale. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. I definitely suggest you, because I think you might have joined late. I'm not sure. Watch this whole thing from the beginning because I talked about this, but I'll recap it right now. When you're getting on the phone with a lead, you're going to ask them questions about what they've tried in the past and what problems they've run into and where are they at now. And when you're doing this, you're asking these questions for a particular reason. And it's because you're getting them to point out that they're struggling. You're getting them to acknowledge, oh, we've tried this and it's not working. Nothing's working. We're not seeing results. They just sold your services to themselves. When you get leads to point out that they're struggling and that they've tried to resolve it, but they can't, they just did the heavy lifting for you. They just acknowledged that they need you without directly saying that. And so later in the conversation, you are going to repeat back to them exactly what they said. They're giving you, in a sense, like ammunition. And you're going to go back later on and you're going to say, well, you told me earlier on that you tried this and you tried this, but it didn't work. And you're really struggling with this. And all you're doing is repeating back what they already told you. So that's why the conversation, the sales call, this is something in my program, I give my students a script, a template. And the phone call starts with you asking them questions. And again, the questions are twofold. It's because this is information you need, but it's also because you're getting them to point out that they need you. And that is how we get the way you worded it. I want to go back to your message because you worded it really well. How to make the client sell to you. This is one of the trickiest parts about sales. We get on the call and we think, I've got to convince them. I've got to convince them and make them believe that they need me. No, you don't. You don't. You're going to get them to convince themselves that they need you. And you do that by asking them questions like, what have you tried and what were the results? They're not going to tell you that the results were fantastic, because if they were, they wouldn't be on the phone with you. They wouldn't need you. So that's how you get the client to do the selling for you. And that's how you get around the mindset of having to sell and having to convince. The harder you're trying to convince a potential client that they need you, the conversation's gotten on the wrong track. It's really simple to make them acknowledge that they need your help And it really just comes down to the way you handle the phone call. What to do if you lose a what? Lose a client? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. If you could expand on that a little bit. And again, guys, don't forget, there's a live chat that I'm looking at right now. So please, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them. This live stream is about how to build a stable income as a freelance writer. It will be up on my main video page indefinitely. YouTube will take a little while to process it, so it will not be up on my page immediately after the stream ends, but you can expect it there probably later today or early tomorrow. Sometimes YouTube is really slow. Okay, what happens if you lose a client on the call or the follow-up emails? Okay, so here's the thing. That's great questions. If you get to the call, let's start with the phone call. If you get to the phone call and you lose the client, the potential client, after the call, so you get on the phone and it seems like it's all going well, but then they ultimately say, no, we don't want to work with you. At that point, the issue more than likely is your rates. And the reason I say that is because by the time you get on the phone call, they probably already know what services you offer. So they're interested in your services. But if you get on the call and assuming the call goes well, if you totally blow the call, then yeah, they're going to bail on you. But if the call goes well and you get to the very end where you tell them, this is what my rates start at, or similarly, if you lose them after you send the proposal where you tell them your exact rates, more than often, that comes down to money. So, with what I teach in Revenue Spark, you follow up with people every 2 days. And if you lose them after the call or the proposal, you keep following up every 2 days. The goal here is just to get a response, A, but B, to find out, we had a great call. I noticed, can you tell me why you're not interested in moving forward? And they might point blank tell you we can't afford it. If that happens, you go back and negotiate. You tell them, I try really hard to come up with something that makes sense for the both of us. And I understand that all businesses are unique. So let's try to work something out. Just tell them, be upfront. And you're going to see if you can salvage this relationship. So that might mean reducing your rates, which if you do, reduce the services. Don't offer the same work for cheaper. We don't do that. So, you might say to them, maybe you pitched services and it was for $2,000 a month and they say, oh, it's out of our budget. If that's the case, then you can go back to them and say, okay, here's what I can do for $1,500 a month, and start there and see if they're responsive. Or maybe they might come back and say, we can't afford more than $1,000 a month. And then you say, okay, for $1,000 a month, here's what I can offer you. Okay. So that's if you lose them at the call or the proposal. It's probably about money. And, rates were made to be negotiated. If someone tries to negotiate with you, or if you find yourself needing to negotiate, don't be offended. It's okay. Yeah, they might just be looking to get it for cheaper, but it might really be out of their budget. You have no idea. So stay calm, stay cool, stay friendly. And this is really, it's not you against the client. It's you and the client trying to come together to work something out. You're on the same side. Look at it like that. You're coming together to try to solve a problem. And that's the mindset I always have whenever I get any pushback about my rates. I used to be like, I used to get offended, to be honest. I'd be like, what do you mean you can't afford me? I'm amazing. That's ego. But, it's really, you don't know why they're pushing back against the rates. Like I said, maybe they know they can get it cheaper, so they want to. Maybe they really can't afford it. Doesn't matter. What matters is that they're telling you they can't pay you what you pitched. So try to find a solution. At that point, you don't have anything to lose. They just told you no. So if you can salvage it, you might still land a new client out of it, which is great. Okay, let's keep going. If you lose a client with the follow-up emails, You keep following up. I only follow up twice, 2 follow-up emails every 2 days. After that, I'm done. I don't chase, I don't beg. And, remember, by this point, with the way I teach landing clients, by the time you're emailing, you've already connected with them on LinkedIn. So the lead is already warm. So if we get to that point where we're actually emailing and we've established this relationship and they decide to blow me off, okay, bye. I don't chase. There are other leads I've got that will be eager to work with me and interested in talking. So, you can leave the door open. When you do that last follow-up email, you don't have to be like, this is the last time I'll email you. Don't say that. Just say, hey, following up again. Maybe I'll come back to you later on. Maybe not. Who cares? If they don't, they weren't the right client for you. That's simple. The best niches to do writing for. I've got videos on niches already. I don't want to get into that now because it's a little off topic. But go check out, I have a video, how to pick a freelance writing niche. If you guys want to give me 2 seconds, I'll dig it up for you and I'll post it right in the chat. But yeah, if you're not sure what he means, I think it's he. I'm so sorry. I'm butchering names. I feel like I'm a mess right now. The question was, what are the best niches to do writing for? If you're not sure what that means, when we say niche, we mean a specific industry or a segment of an industry that you're going to write for. And again, I go into this. I've got a couple videos on it. I'm going to send you here. Give me 1 second. I'm putting it in the chat right now. So that is a video on how to pick a freelance writing niche. It will explain, firstly, why you need one if you're not yet familiar. You do not want to write for everyone. You will limit your growth. You will limit the amount of money you can make. I explain that in the video. And then I also talk about how you can find a niche that works for you. Okay? And again, I've got lots of, my whole channel is dedicated towards landing clients. And because my background is in writing, I have a lot of writing specific videos on here. So make sure you check out my main video page. I'll put that, well, you're on it right now if you're watching this video, but I'm going to drop it in there again. That's my video, my main video page. And then you should see in the description of this live stream, there's a free guide. And if you haven't gotten it already, sign up for it. It is completely free. And it will teach you more about how to use LinkedIn to land clients. Hi, Challenges Hunter, hello. And there's a free email template included. And you can use that for cold emailing or warm emailing. You'll have to tweak the template. So I'm going to start wrapping it up. I don't want to get too off topic. I see your question, how to keep your clients happy for long-term relationships. That's a whole other video. It really comes down to delivering an awesome service. So if you're a writer, you got to be a really good writer. And again, I mentioned this earlier. This is all about the client. So what does the client need? And how are you going to fulfill that need? That's how you keep clients. It's not always easy, but it's simple. And that's how I approach every single client. What do they need? What are their goals? How will I help them achieve those goals? And it's delivering results, especially for writers. You don't want to fall into the trap of just churning out work, just churning out blogs. They can go to Fiverr for that. Those are the blogs that they can pay $5 for. But you're not going to be doing that. You're going to be writing content that delivers real results, which is why you're going to charge so much more. But that means you have to make good on your promise and help elevate your clients' businesses. And as you're writing and producing content, you want to be keeping an eye on their analytics, on their insights, whether it's Google Analytics or Moz or SEMrush or Ubersuggest. If they're not already using some kind of analytics tool, you want to help them get that going, because that's how you measure the success of your work. How's it performing on social? How are you ranking? How much traffic are you bringing them? You can't know if what you're doing is working if you're not measuring the results. All right. When are you going to do a live stream on marketing? Can you be a little more specific what you mean by that? And I would be happy to do that. All right. So before we wrap this up, first of all, thank you again for being here. Your time is one of your most valuable assets because you can never get it back. Time is one of the few things we give and never get back. So I really respect your time and I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me some of yours. Don't forget that if you want more help and you want to learn more about how to land clients, I do have a program that is made specifically for this called Revenue Spark. And I walk you through the entire process from start to finish for landing clients. All right, we start with sourcing the lead all the way through to sending them your proposal. And I show you how to do every single step. It's a self-paced course, but I've got students who start booking sales calls and landing clients a few weeks in. One of my students, Bright, doubled his income before even finishing the program. So, you know, it helps to have, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to figure this all out from scratch, but because there are already people who've done it. I've done it, I've proven the process, my students are doing it. So all that is to say, if you are interested in possibly enrolling, if you need help closing clients, there is a link in the description of this video to book a call. That will take you to my calendar. And again, this is not for coaching calls. I don't do coaching calls. This is if you are interested in enrolling in Revenue Spark. And we can talk more about that. I'll ask you a few questions about your business and your goals. The reason we get on a call, I want to make sure I can help you. Enrollment is not open to the public. And it's because I will only enroll someone if I'm positive I can get them results. And that's why all my students are getting results. It's closed enrollment. So yeah, if you're interested, book a call. There's no commitment beyond that. It is just a phone call. And I'll tell you more about the program. If you have any questions, you can ask. And we'll see if it's a good fit for you. All right. I'm going to take one last look at the live stream before I go. Our contract's really useful if you're dealing with international clients. I'm located in Morocco. Oh, how cool. Morocco. I love that we can connect and we're in different parts of the world. That's so cool. I mean, would I be able to use them against a client who didn't respect a certain term or terms? Great question. That comes down to what the contract says. So, and I have to say this, I'm not a lawyer, but in my experience, because I've got lots of clients in other countries, when we have a contract, there will be like a stipulation, a statement in there that acknowledges that they're in Australia or New Zealand or whatever, and I'm in the US. And, you know, again, it's never come to this. No one's ever taken legal action against me or vice versa, but it acknowledges that should it get that far, how do I even word this? It's so hard to word when you're not a lawyer. The contract acknowledges that you're in different countries, and if you're giving a contract to them, do your due diligence on this, because again, I'm not a lawyer, but what I think you would want is you would want your contract to specify that if you are required to take legal action against them, like if they don't pay you, you're going to do it based on the laws in Morocco, based on where you live. And then it's going to come down to the wording. You can find free contracts online, read through them, actually sit down and read through them. Your clients might not, but you need to, because you want to make sure that it will transcend international boundaries. It's so hard to answer that when I'm not a lawyer. That's the best advice I can give you. A live stream on digital marketing or Facebook marketing. Yeah, I could add that to the list. Yeah. Do you mean to market yourself as a freelance writer or for someone who wants to make money offering marketing services? Because my live stream last week was how to build a social media marketing agency. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Please do more videos about how to use contracts as freelance writers. Yeah, I can do that. It's going to come with a huge disclaimer because, again, I'm not a lawyer, so there's really only so much I can say. But what I can do, in fact, do I have a video on that? What I can do is what a basic contract should include, because there are a few things you want to make sure you have no matter what. Maybe I don't have a video on that. I'm just looking on my other monitor here. Oh, here, I do. 7 things to put in your freelance contract. Yeah, check this out. I'm still happy to do a live stream on it, but there's a video on contracts. Again, it's going to be more basic because there's only so much advice I can give. You know, I'm in Las Vegas, so I know how things work in Nevada, but you know, I'm sure the contract that I started with was just like a free template I pulled online. And then eventually I had to go to a lawyer. But I know that's not in everyone's budget. It's expensive. So look for a free template online and read it. Read all the fine print. And you might find places where you need to tweak it to make sense for you, especially if you're working with people in other countries. Marketing agency. Yeah, go back and watch. I'll give you the link. It's right on my page, but here's the link. My last live stream, which was so much fun, was how to build a social media marketing agency. And even if you don't want to have a full-blown SMMA, social media marketing agency, if you're a writer who wants to offer social media services, a lot of writers do, I do, that video will still help you. So it's a little longer, it's a little over an hour, which we're approaching right now anyway, but it's a good one. Thank you so much for answering that question. You are so welcome. Please make sure to save this video. Yes, again, YouTube needs to process it, but then the video will be up on my main YouTube page. It might take a little while, but it will be there. So yes, this video will be up indefinitely. And it would mean a lot to me if you could address the contracts subject in depth. I really need it. Yeah, I'll, again, check out that video, and we can do that for a future stream, as long as people are aware that, I can't be giving like actual legal advice. So it's going to be basic, like what to include in your contract and how to protect yourself. But I really, really highly recommend you start with the video I sent, but then compare a few free contracts, free templates online. Just Google freelance contract or freelance writing contract and start. Ooh, I'm losing an AirPod. Start there. The reason contracts can be so intimidating is because you don't even know where to start unless you're going to a lawyer, which again is not cheap. So start with a free template and you'll get an idea of like how to protect yourself. The biggies are, this is what I'm committing to delivering to the client. This is what you're committing to pay me upon receipt of my work. And this is when I expect to be paid and how. Those are the big ones. If a client's going to screw you over, what are they going to do? They're not going to pay you. So the money is a big part of it. But start there and start to do a little homework there. And we will discuss contracts in an upcoming video. It'd be really cool if I could get a lawyer on here. We'll see. I don't know if lawyers do that. All right. Okay. So that's it for now. Again, don't forget about my free guide. I'm going to drop it. It's in the description of this video. It's in there, but I'm going to drop it in the chat just to be safe. That is a free guide to landing clients with LinkedIn and email. Okay. And then also, if you think you might be interested in enrolling in my program, which is called Revenue Spark. It's where I teach professionals how to land clients. Many of my students at this point are writers, again, just because that's my background. You can use this link to schedule a call with me. This is not for coaching calls. I don't do coaching calls. This is for talking about the program. So if you think you might be interested, again, there's no commitment beyond the call. So it's just for us to get to know each other a little more. I call them discovery calls because we learn more about each other. And we'll see if it might be a good fit for you. And if you're interested, we'll keep moving forward. All right. So thank you again for being here. I'm going to end the stream now, but it's so cool getting to connect with you guys. Morocco. Like, it's so awesome. I love the internet. You know how to get a hold of me. We're probably connected somewhere on social media, or you can always leave comments on my YouTube videos if you have other questions, or if you have other requests for future videos. I've got contracts. I'll put that on my list. But yeah, reach out if you guys need anything. If you want to talk about the program more, book a call, and we'll be in touch soon, okay? Alrighty, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you guys soon.